Okay, so we have our outline here, and let's go ahead and open up the first ebook. And I would say when you first get this going to just go ahead and start pulling anything in that matches, just because you'll just start getting more information, and you'll not get hung up on analysis paralysis where you're reading through everything and not sure whether you should include it or not. So just start big, at least at first, and then as you continue you can always scale back a little bit, and then of course you can always go through and get rid of any information that's duplicate or poor quality. So the way I do the dual pane here in Jarté is I have my first thing open, and then the other thing here is I just go open with Jarté Plus, because I don't use it all the time. I use Word mostly, and then it opens it up here. And to do the dual pane on Jarté Plus, if you're interested in using it, you just click up at up here at one of the tabs, split view, and then I do a split view vertical. And so what we have here then are two different screens, and it just makes it a lot easier to work with here. So this also has a full suite of other things. It's, like I said, it's a good word processor, and you can do a lot of different things in here as well. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to swap views, just because I like having this on the left for some reason, maybe because I'm left-handed. And this should look familiar. This is our table of contents, and then I'm just going to sort of go through here. We have, and just sort of look at it. And what I'm seeing at first is there's not really a lot of bullet points or lists or anything, which I find to be more helpful. So it can be easier to pull out information once you see that there's specific bullet points and things like that. This is causes of anxiety, and we have common causes. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just sort of look here at the intro sentence and just see what the paragraph's about. Like situations, stress, but again, this isn't really particularly helpful. It just gives you some examples. There's some drugs, not eating right, which we talk about here. This is interesting because I don't really have drugs in there, so what I might do is add something here about drugs, side effects, and then I'm going to paste that in there. And what you can do if you want is you can set it up where you can have this be a different color, so you know what the content is when you're pasting it in. I'm happy enough just having it be a different font, because that tells me, okay, you know, this is material that I've actually pasted. And then I would continue to go through. So this is who suffers from anxiety, which we don't really put in here. So this might not, unless you're reading this and you think, oh, well, that's really good types of information, I should address that in my table of contents or my outline, I'm probably just going to sort of go through here. Okay, now we're getting a little bit more into different lists, which I think is helpful. Types of anxiety attacks and disorders, which we have here. So we have general anxiety disorder, and then we have some symptoms. So it's people who are always worrying. So again, I might, and you can, you know, make the spaces here a lot bigger so you can give yourself room. And then here are some of the symptoms. So I might just include this. And this is interesting. We have some statistics here and who the demographics are. So to me, that's always good to have, and it's something that you can double check when you're gathering your own statistics and research. So to me, this part here about who suffers, women suffer it more than men do, I think that this is, again, clear information and more specific than just this sort of things up here about what how the type of people are who suffer from that. It says here they look for the worst and are always worried. I prefer to include more of the specific type of information about who's the people who are actually suffering. So I'm going to put that in there. And then we would continue and go through. We have social anxiety disorder, and we can put in some information about that. Obsessive compulsive, which we've also included. Post-traumatic stress, and panic orders and attacks. So we can fill this in here with the little gems from this if we want to. And I'm just going to continue going through here about getting help. So this again is just sort of general about getting professional help. I might put it in here as just as a placeholder, but I'm hoping that I will find some better information as I continue to research. So and then this is about discussing your condition with them, medication, and then how you're going to pay for it, which is not something that I'm addressing here. So if you think that's important, you can always add it in as an extra here. So we have something here for medication, and this is also about counseling. This is just about sort of more general, and then we have some more things about medication here. And reading through this, I'm thinking that's a bit general, so I'm going to come down here. I'm a very fast reader, so if you're seeing that I'm reading it very quickly, that doesn't mean that you won't be able to pull out the information. I tend to be a fast reader. So we have antidepressants, anti-anxiety drugs, and beta blockers. So there's a lot of information here about what types of drugs there are, and you really have a couple of choices here, depending on how in detail you want to get about medical anxiety treatments with medication. Because the focus of this book is not about medication, I would suggest maybe using just the general overview and not going into detail. And again, that's a choice that you can make, but while I want to include this information, it's not necessarily something that I want to go into a lot of detail, because I really want to get on to the solutions that people can do for themselves. And then we have cognitive behavioral therapy, which I also mention in here. So you can just sort of pull in some information. As you can see, I'm not pulling in everything. I'm just really trying to pull in the basics or the key pieces of information. First of all, because I think just looking through this, some of the information is just really general, and I'm hoping I can find better information. Or by just having the key facts, then it'll be a good starting point for a rewrite and for fleshing it out a little bit better. Alternative treatments. Again, this is just sort of general. We have relax, but there's not really a lot of information. There's just like a small paragraph on each of these. More effective, untreated. This is about panic attacks. Lending your support. This could be something that would go more down here, supporting others. So maybe I would put in some of this information. There's a lot of information there, but I can go through it a little bit later, because it looks like there's some good tips there. So we're finished with this first book, and what we've seen is we didn't really pull out anything, even though it treated it briefly, on the main focus, which is preventing anxiety on our own. But we did pull out more information about some of the common causes, and this we could also fill out more with this ebook. And in the next video, we'll go to the second ebook, and we'll see if we can pull out some information that might relate more to what we want the focus of the book to be on. But this is a good start as far as gathering some initial research.